Peace, family. It's your brother Marc Lamont Hill. You're watching the Marc Lamont Hill official YouTube channel. I want to say, C Shotta, what's up, man? I see you in the room. You didn't come in until 11:01. Same thing with you, Kimono Kenny and Osman Arshad. I don't really like people coming in my lives late because I'm always on time, and so I find it very disrespectful. What's up, y'all? It's the Marc Lamont Hill official YouTube channel. We're here as always every single night, talking about the war on Gaza. Okay, today was a rough one. Uh, Day 160 of Israel's war on Gaza. We are going to cover it as best we can with dignity and clarity and honesty, but it doesn't make it easy, y'all. Shout out to Jazz LP, to Meg L in the room as always. So many people who showed up. Todd is here, Wanda Chapman, all the MLH families in the building. Bullet the Bunny, the legend, is in the room. I appreciate y'all so much. What's up, Rosability? Thank you for stopping through. Kime Oboyade Costa, good to see you as always. Old Grease is in the room. Kassan Ave in the room. Farah, India, Crooklyn. What up, C Shotta? Osman, I know I shouted y'all already, but I gotta do it again. Little Miss 222, Slytherin Shark 888, Rebel Betty, all the MLH families here. Herman Gill, so many of y'all, man. I can't shout out everybody. Get T-Way, see you. Darnell, I see you. Michelle, I see you. But I'm gonna shout as many of y'all as I could because I appreciate what y'all do every single night, showing up into this live. Egyptian Green Eyes showing up to this live, helping us really stabilize and normalize the idea of coming in every night, covering stuff the mainstream media doesn't want to talk about, covering stuff that corporate news doesn't want to acknowledge. And we're doing it every single night. Mohammed Bakhiat, yes, 2Fs. Noor, we're going to do it every single night. And today on day 160, we got a lot to cover. It's been devastating. There was an attack today in northern Gaza City that left 150 people injured and 20 Palestinians dead. This was not a normal. I mean, I don't know what normal even means anymore. I don't even know what normal means anymore. But there were people seeking aid, people trying to eat, people trying to get medical attention, people trying to get care. I mean, it's really that simple. They were trying to get basic attention, and they were struck. They were struck there at the Kuwaiti roundabout, and this was a mass casualty attack. A mass casualty attack. The guys in health ministry called it a new premeditated massacre. The word massacre has been used to describe this attack. Again, they were at the Kuwaiti roundabout in northern Gaza City when they got hit. The international community has already begun to speak up. I'm sure by tomorrow we'll see even more rebuke. It's crazy because some of y'all are probably thinking like, is he reporting the same stories every day? Like, you know what I mean? Like I see Dr. Oates 22. Didn't this happen yesterday? It's Thursday. Yes. 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 This isn't me repeating the same story or adding yeast to the story. Sadly, it's a new one. I feel like I'm reading the same stories every day. It's because the same things keep happening every day. The death toll in Gaza right now is now over 31,000. It's 31,341. That's right. 31,341 Palestinians have been killed in Gaza since October 7th. 73,134 have been injured. Again, 73,134 Palestinians have been killed since October 7th. The death toll in Israel from Hamas's October 7th attack stands at 1,139, with a few dozen people now. I don't know the captive numbers because they're not clear. But I was sitting and say dozens. I think Al Jazeera reports it as dozens. I don't know the exact number. You know, we're in a moment of crisis. We're in a moment of crisis. Now, one thing that's been happening, it's interesting, is we're seeing an increasing pushback from Democrats and increasing pushback from mainstream politicians, right? What Joe Biden is attempting to do and his Democratic cronies is redirect the conversation. In other words, he sees the numbers aren't good for him. He saw what happened in Michigan to him with over 100,000 people saying they ain't going to vote for him, or at least they're not committed to voting for him, which won't bode well in the general election. So the Democrats have to apply some pressure to Israel. They have to criticize Netanyahu. They have to criticize the government. But they don't want to criticize Israel as such. They want to criticize the idea of Israel. They don't want to critique Israel's genocidal tactics as genocide. So what they do is they say somebody's got to go under this bus. Somebody's got to become the scapegoat. And who do they choose to become the scapegoat? Benjamin Netanyahu. And why not? If you're a Democrat, and Bernie Sanders has been doing this for months now, if you're a Democrat, what you say is they have a right-wing government. They have a right-wing extremist government. And so then you can just lump Netanyahu in with Trump. You can lock him in with Modi. You can lock him in with, whoever you want. Bolsonaro. You can just say, hey, there's a bunch of right-wingers. Who's my man in Argentina who just was elected? Is it Lula? No. You can but you can lump them all in. Because once you lump them all in, Javier Milei. Once you lump them all in, you can just say there's a bunch of right-wing populist presidents out there, and if we could just get them off the stage, if we could just get rid of these right-wingers, we could get back to normal. We could get back to normal. And so when you hear Bernie Sanders talking, one of the things he always says is, and you hear from Pelosi, you hear from others too, Israel has a far right-wing government coalition, and they're the problem. So the reason I'm saying that is because today, who stands up and gives a speech? Chuck Schumer. Chuck Schumer. And he says that the problem is Benjamin Netanyahu. He stands on the Senate floor and he says Benjamin Netanyahu has been, quote, too willing to tolerate the civilian toll in Gaza. He says that Benjamin Netanyahu has, quote, lost his way in his pursuit of, quote, political survival. He says there needs to be a fresh debate about the future of Israel after October 7th. As a democracy, Israel has the right to choose its own leaders, and we should let the chips fall where they may. But the important thing is that Israelis are given a choice. He's calling for new elections. He's calling for new elections in Israel. He says we should not let the complexities of this conflict stop us from stating the plain truth. Palestinian civilians do not deserve to suffer for the sins of Hamas, and Israel has a moral obligation to do better. The United States has an obligation to do better. He had the United States in there too, otherwise it looks like he's singling Israel out, God forbid. And so this is interesting territory, y'all. This is interesting territory. So now you're beginning to see what the Democrats are planning. Now you can see what the game plan is. It's not criticize Israel. It's not call out a genocide. It's say, hey, if we just had different people running this ship, everything would be fine. We could go back to normal. Except, what is normal? Netanyahu's been in power forever. And previous prime ministers, whether it's Ehud Barak, Ehud Omer, Yitzhak Rabin, Yitzhak Shamir, it doesn't matter. Doesn't really matter, right? Osman Arshad says, do you think if Netanyahu is going, it would change? No. The problem with Israel is the direction, not the driver. If I change drivers and my bus is still riding in the same direction, it might be safer, might be faster, might be slower, might be, you know what I mean? But you're still going in a direction. And that's what we're seeing. And the direction that Israel moves in is that of a settler colonial apartheid state. And as long as it's a settler colonial apartheid state, the rest of it doesn't really matter. Who comes after Bibi is a great question. It could be a more right-wing government because honestly, Netanyahu didn't have the numbers. And if you understand how Israeli prime ministers are appointed or elected, you understand the kind of coalition building that needs to happen. Then you understand that Netanyahu, got in bed with the right wing, including the religious fanatics, not because he believes in them or cares necessarily, but because he needed to stay in power, and they were the only people who could, that's the only coalition he could put together. So, who's next? I think the Israeli public rather, civil society, wants to move a little bit back to the left, particularly since Netanyahu's been doing the Trump thing. All right. So if you ask me who's next, I think you get a more mainstream, uh, slightly right of center, or maybe even centrist than what Netanyahu is. But again, it's not about who Netanyahu is; it's about the coalition that he puts together. There's a reason why he's with Itamar Ben Gvir, not because he necessarily sees the world the same way he does, but it's like, hey, I need this coalition. I need these hawks. Anyway, so Chuck Schumer, in his speech on the Senate floor today, was a big deal. And there's at least an acknowledgement of Palestinian suffering. He's not the only people to do that, but coming from him, it's different. The GCC, the countries in the Gulf Cooperation Council, they have called out. They said the United Nations Human Rights Council and the international community must do more to protect children in Gaza. The GCC statement said UNHRC and the international community must shoulder their responsibility in ending the tragedy of the children in Gaza and securing their right to live, safety, and protection, considering it to be a legal, ethical, and human obligation. They're pointing out that 13,000 kids have been killed. Not dead, they've been killed. This is context. Governments are calling it out. Human rights organizations are calling it out. But when it's called out by Chuck Schumer and the Democrats, it's for a reason. It's not because they got a conscience. I'm not saying they don't, but that ain't why they called them out. Anyway, I'll keep going. In addition to the other killings that I talked about, sadly, they were not the only ones. On Thursday morning, Israeli forces killed at least 9 Palestinians and wounded dozens more in attacks throughout Gaza. 6 aid seekers, again, more aid seekers. This is on top of the 20 plus, the 5 and the 22 injured that I talked about before. 6 aid seekers in northern Gaza were killed as well. 5 Palestinians in Rafah were killed last night at another United Nations aid distribution center. So we're seeing just more and more death, more and more innocent people. And it's harder and harder to make the argument that these are just Hamas fighters, that these are just militants who get caught up in the mix. It's not what seems to be happening here. So I don't know, family. There's so much going on. There's so much going on. In addition to what's happening in Gaza, there's still considerable violence in the occupied West Bank. 2 Palestinian men have been arrested in a town near occupied East Jerusalem, according to the Wafa news agency, as the Israeli military continued its raids and attacks across the West Bank. The men arrested in the town of Abu Dis included Mohammed Rabi, a spokesperson for the Fatah movement in Jerusalem, according to Wafa as well. The father of a Palestinian boy who was shot and killed while playing with fireworks said Israeli forces have imposed conditions on the return of his body. Again, a fireworks display, fireworks actually gets a child killed, and they won't give him the body back. they often refuse to give the body back, which is its own kind of shamefulness. Anyway, family, I'm not going to keep y'all long tonight. This is frustrating. This is stressful. Anyway, here's what I'm going to do. I appreciate y'all for hanging out with me tonight. I'm going to do a short office hours at 11:30, about 15 minutes long. And then that'll be that. And I'm going to take it in. But I wanted to at least give you all the update. We got to do this every day. That's the job. That's the commitment that we make. And we'll talk about it. So I'll see y'all later, man. But everybody, make sure you continue to support the channel. Hit the like button if you can. Hit that notification bell for updates. Hit the subscribe button if you're not a subscriber. Subscribe, man. We having fun up in this joint. And of course, if you're so inclined, hit the join button. Become a member of the channel. You can become a member of the channel for as little as $4.99 a month. It allows you to become a paid subscriber. You get priority status. You get special chats. You get to have members only conversations, etc., etc., etc. Would love to have you. So if you can make it, come on through. And if not, if you just want to make a donation to the channel, use the Cash Apps. Go to MLHTV. Again, $ MLHTV. If everybody on right now gave $1, if everybody on right now just gave $1, if you have two, give two. But if everybody had $1, it would put us in a position to pay some bills today. If everybody just gave $1. Jessica Barnes, by the way, said, "Are they starting to feel pressure? It seems like smoke and mirrors trying to pacify the left." Agreed. What's banning TikTok? Weird move. The TikTok thing, from what I understand, had been in the works for a few years. It was on the legislative. It was a kind of a legislative thing. It just popped up now. It kind of came to a head here, but it just wasn't like a quickly drafted bill. Now, the timing and the strategy of it and what they're trying to do with it, whether they're trying to look like heroes or whether they're trying to appease a certain constituency, I don't know the answer. I haven't had the time to look into the TikTok stuff today too much, but we'll have some answers for you soon. And if not, I'll connect you to someone who does. Anyway, fam, I wanted to make sure I answered that question, but I appreciate y'all. Come with your questions for Q&A for office hours at 11:35 at the latest, and we'll get it started. But I appreciate y'all. Love y'all. I'll see y'all soon. Peace.